The ATF is at it again, and now they're trying to go after private party sales. This is something they've been trying to go after for a little while now, but they're just changing in some wording here to try to make it more difficult and to be able to pass more rules to make it more difficult for you to be able to sell firearms on your own. If I wanted to sell one of these guns, I would not be able to with these new rules that they're trying to implement without becoming an FFL, which just allows them to be able to track everything more and be able to have everything on file and to see what you have and what you don't have. If you haven't already and these videos are helpful to you, please consider subscribing. I'm really close to 100,000 subscribers and it is a big help. Big sponsor of today's channel and the video is Brownells. You can use code TA10 to save 10% off orders $150 or more, and I highly recommend taking advantage of that. And I just want to thank Brownells for everything they do with all these builds and projects and everything I've been able to do here with the channel. So definitely go and show them some love and use that discount code. Let's get right into the video and go over all the details of this new ruling and where we're at with things, and go over the new way that they're now trying to condense our rights as firearm owners. So private party sales is something they've been trying to get after for a little while because they're not able to track anything, because all of these guns behind me, I can just sell or give or trade or barter, and there's no actually tracking of that. So some of these guns could be mine, some of these guns could be somebody else's, and there's no way for them to know that. And they don't like that because then they can't tell what you have, and then they can't create all these other new rules and laws to then be able to restrict your rights, to be able to then get you in trouble or make you comply with the rules they want you to. So as you know, the ATF is very big into changing definitions. They like to give you a definition, let you get comfortable and understand that definition. And they try to change it up a little bit so it helps them and gets you into trouble. And that's what they're doing here. They're just trying to change some more definitions. They're now trying to make it to where you have to get an FFL even if you sell one firearm. And there's a whole list of things. I'll give you a link down in the description of what it all pertains. I'm not going to go over the entire list. I'm just trying to give you the idea of what's going on, because this is not enacted right now. This rule is not in place yet. It's just a new rule they're trying to set in place here. And I'll go over the 90-day commenting period here in a second. But basically, they're wanting you to have to become an FFL to be able to sell or acquire any firearms is their goal. And the reason they're doing that is because if they make you become an FFL, you have to go through background checks, you have to go through paperwork, you'll have to have checkups with the ATF, they'll have to go over all the firearms that you have and be able to list them off, and then every time you sell a firearm, you're gonna have to do paperwork, background checks for those people, and they want just to be able to track everything that you're doing with your firearms so they know, okay, these are the firearms he has, and we know that, so if something happens, say we pass the brace ban or the frames and receivers rule, then we'll be able to go after him because we know he has these firearms, because he can't sell them without having to do the proper paperwork and the whole process. So as you can see how they're trying to slide this one in to make it sound very simple. It's like, oh, okay, you just need to get an FFL to be able to sell firearms. Like, we're just trying to make it more streamlined, blah, 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 whatever they'll say. But they're doing it for a bigger reason, and that's trying to be able to track everything that you have. So I mentioned that you could need an FFL for just selling one firearm, and the reason being is they're making this so broad, and they like to do that is because it could be like, well, yeah, it looks like he falls under this, so you would have to, or it confuses you to where you're like, I don't want to get in trouble because I'm a little bit scared of the criminal charges that they could press on me, so I'm going to take the safe side and just get my FFL, even though maybe I don't necessarily need one. And that's what they're trying to do, is at least kind of strong arm you into doing this and scare you, because they make the rules so broad that it's like, okay, like, I could fall under this if you interpret it this way opposed to this way, but they don't actually give you a clear, like, okay, if you have A, B, and C, you will be against the rules and you have to do this. Or A, B, and C, you don't have to do this. It's just kind of vague, and they like doing that because they want you to kind of be a little bit too nervous to just go ahead and maybe follow what they want you to do. Now, some of you will get hung up on the fact that I might have said this is a law and not a rule. And yes, this is a rule, but you have to understand that these rules hold criminal penalties. So I don't care what you call it. You can call it a law, you can call it a slap on my wrist. I don't care what you want to call it. It's still going to hold prison time. So if this passes and you get in trouble for this rule, you can still see potential prison time. So now let's go over the 90-day commenting period. Once they publish this, which they haven't yet, there's going to be a 90-day commenting period. And we've done this before with other things like P80s and other things they've tried to do, where they give you a chance to send your comments in and voice your opinion, which I'm glad they do this. And I don't know how much it actually works. The last time it seemed to have worked, it was a lot of comments. And once that happens, I'll make sure to update you guys to give you the link and let you know, hey, make sure you're commenting on this. And what you have to avoid is saying things like, screw the ATF, abolish the ATF. Like, you have to actually create a plausible argument that, you know, that says, hey, this is why I think this is silly and you shouldn't do this. Because if not, they just delete it and they don't they don't read them. It's got to be an actual argument in a sentence form, not like
ATF is dumb.
yeah, I agree. Like, I'd love to type that too, but like, they're not going to take it into effect or take it into account if you don't actually put in a coherent sentence that makes sense of why you don't think it's real. Again, I will update you once that happens, but we'll have 90 days to be able to send everything in. And at that time, we want to be able to have a mass amount of people sending those comments in so they see, okay, the people don't want this. This isn't something that we want. And hopefully that makes a difference. And then you have the agencies like the FBC, the Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, the NRA, if they actually decide to do something until after the fact. But these organizations hopefully will then step up and try to fight as well. I mentioned this before in the previous videos that I did updates on. They're not going to stop with the brace rule. They're not going to stop with the frames and receiver rule. Whether they win or lose those, they're going to keep going. And they keep proving themselves to that they keep creating these new laws. They keep changing definitions. And they've done it again, and they're going to continue to do it. So just so you know, if we win the brace ruling, it's not like, okay, sweet, we've won, it's over. It's a great battle to win, but it's not the war. It's a continued thing, and they're always going to keep going after it, especially now that election time's coming. So be prepared, because they are going to be pushing a lot harder here soon and more, just because election time is coming around. So what do we do? Obviously, you can do things like contacting your state reps, voicing your opinion that way, commenting when you're allowed to on that 90-day commenting period. But the biggest thing I think we need to be doing is bringing God back into this country. We need to pray about this. We need to get our families back together and put God back into not only this country, but in the center of the families. It seems that a lot of the family households have stepped away from that, and that has allowed the country to step away from that as well. So sit down with your family, discuss this with them, and decide what's best for you and your family, and pray about it together. And God is always in control. I know some of you might disagree with that, but He is in control, and we need to get God back into this country. Other than that, I'll keep you guys updated as I always do in these videos. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment down below. I'll try to answer anything that I can. And then I will be updating you guys further with these processes, along with the pistol brace ruling, the frames and receivers, and all these different things that are happening in between my reviews and different content. I'm actually going to be posting here on Sundays soon that are going to be doing outdoors content, mule, wood burner, family style content. So I'm going to be adding some more stuff here to the channel. If you guys are looking to help out the channel and things I do here, there's a couple ways to do that down in the description. Are some discount codes from companies I personally trust that you can save some money, and there's a link to my link tree that you can use links, and it does help support the channel. A couple companies that support me is Howitzer, Brownells, and Hold Up Display. Brownells, you can use code TA10 to save 10% on orders $150 or more. Hold Up Display makes these awesome racks, and Howitzer is a clothing brand that wear their clothes all the time, and they donate 5% of proceeds to charity, which is awesome. They donated over $1 million, which is really cool. Other than that, guys, thank you so much, and I appreciate you all.